start making your way, please. 76 through 80 and 81 through 85.
Hello, I'm Corey Jackson. I am the Managing Director of Arts After Hours, Downtown Arts Organization. I'm also the author of DowntownLynn.com and a resident of Sloan Machinery Lofts right across the street. I moved here specifically because of the access to the commuter rail that includes weekends and evenings. It will destroy what we have built here in Downtown Lynn if we decide to make these cuts. We have 200 plus new residents now in downtown. They rely on weekend and late night service to Boston. We are creating an amazing arts and culture district in the downtown, and if we stop weekend service, it's over. Lynn Arts, Arts After Hours, Raw Arts, the Lynn Museum, all of those programs rely on people coming from out of town. 40% of our audience is from out of town. Several of our audience are seniors that use the ride. I'm sure you weren't expecting a yuppie to talk about the ride tonight, but you know, it is desperately important that we keep these fares low and we allow our seniors to go to the events and activities that everybody else is able to go to. I want to talk about a few other things before I wrap up. Our staff, largely for Arts After Hours, comes from Lynn and outside of Lynn. We had a choreographer that took the bus all the way from Jamaica Plain. All the way to Lynn every single night for rehearsal. It is desperately important that those services are available at night when we get out of rehearsal. If they are not, I fear for the safety of some of our people. So, for the creative economy, I beg you to find another option, just as our legislators and our mayor asked you to. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brennan.
Good evening, my name is Duncan Maitland, and I just have 2 points I'd like to make. The first is for the tea to be fair. When I say this, I'm referring to the communities of Marblehead and Situate. Both of those communities at one time had commuter rail. They both gave them up. Marblehead still does not have commuter rail, whereas Situate does. Is that a difference between the North Shore and the South Shore? I would say, yes, it is. The second point I'd like to make is creative. The T needs to be more creative as far as how they handle the many people that choose to travel on the T. Back many years ago, there was a bus service called Service Bus Line, and they provided transportation for a quarter from Central Square Lynn to Wonderland. The T needs to look into doing something like this, except instead of charging a quarter, do it as a shuttle for nothing, like they do when they have problems with the T as far as an alternative route, free of charge. The reason I'm saying this is bus service 441 and 442. Those people are freezing once they get to Wonderland as far as to catch some type of transportation to Lynn. We were supposed to have the Blue Line. We do not have it and probably never will. So we need some type of service. And then the Marblehead buses could go just as far as Central Square and then catch the shuttle to the T in Revere instead of in Lynn. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Seth Albaugh. I'm president of the Downtown Lynn Neighborhood Association. And as you recently heard, we have about 200 or more fairly new residents. But Downtown Lynn has been a smart growth community since before it was cool, since before they had that name for it. And the great transportation there is one of the reasons. I also moved to be near the commuter rail, Admittedly, I don't take it very often. It doesn't go to where I work. But many of my neighbors are not here tonight because their train couldn't get them here on time. But I will be giving the Neighborhood Association email list, that information up there, so that they can contact you with any thoughts or concerns. I see two proposals that are not solutions. I agree with everything that's been said about a solution coming from the legislature. It has to happen. Losing nighttime and weekend service will kill the economy downtown, and it will also hurt the economy in Boston because we have near 90,000 people who spend money in Boston on a regular basis. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Richard, I live in Lynn, and I've been writing the MBTA as far as I can remember. Some of my fondest memories are riding the T over to the aquarium or the Museum of Science, go see those when I was a kid. And nowadays I ride the MBTA to get to work every day. And I have to ride the 459 at like 10:30, get to the airport, work at the airport, help out there. At a nice work till like 8 o'clock at night. I take the 426 home at 9 o'clock. And every day, every time I'm on the bus, it's crowded, it's packed. There's extended room only at the end. I see mothers with baby carriages on there. And a lot of these buses, they're going to get eliminated on the cuts. And what do you want us to do? Walk? You want these mothers with babies with them, want them to walk all the way to Wonderland or whatever? Or those of us that we work late at the airport, I have a lot of co-workers with me, work at the airport, rely on public transportation. If we work there, we don't want to walk, if we're still there at 9 o'clock, we have to walk over Wonderland or whatever all the way to Lynn, and that's just not going to work. And I agree, yes. So the legislature needs to do something about this resolve the situation. It can't just be, we pay for the mistakes made by over the big dig and all this debt. This has to be a better solution. This band-aid of just cutting service and raising fares on ordinary people. There has to be a better solution.
Thank you, sir. 86 through 90, if you could make your way down, please. 86 through 90.
Hi, I'm Ariadne Ross. I'm with Occupy Boston and Occupy MBTA. I'm a resident of Nahant, Massachusetts, regular rider of the 439 bus, which is going to be cut under both proposals. And by eliminating that and the cuts on 441 and some of the others, plus the elimination of T after 10 and on weekends, quite frankly, we'll have to move. We're a very green family. We have a family of 4, and we don't have a car. Stupid us, I guess, right? The T plans to increase commuter rail fares on the neighborhood of 50%. Fares, again, to reiterate, seniors tap one version of the proposal, 175% increase. And we talk about trying to balance, not even balance a budget, but just to destroy the people who need things most. It really is time for the governor, for the legislature, for whoever it takes to do the right thing and not worry about, the banksters making more profits and more profits like we keep making on our backs. And, enough is enough. And I don't blame the T staff. I think a lot of the T is sympathetic to the plight here, but Governor Patrick, state legislature, federal government, it's time to get your act together and help us out.
Thank you.
Thank you very much and good evening. I'm State Senator Bruce Tyler, the Minority Leader of the Massachusetts State Senate, and I'm actually thankful for the opportunity you're providing not only to me and my colleagues like Senator McGee, but also to all of the many people who will be affected by what's being proposed to participate in the discussion and hopefully in the decision-making that is coming forth with regard to both service and with fares. I'm concerned right now because it seems to me that as we try to emerge from a very difficult recession, that limiting transportation options, either by availability or by cost, is a recipe to stifle the recovery and cause incredible backward momentum and backward movement toward trying to recover this economy and to create the economic vitality that our Commonwealth needs and deserves. That's particularly so in areas not only like Lynn, but also many of the areas that I represent, for instance on Cape Ann, where there's a tremendous dependence on weekend and night service, to be able to bring folks who want to come and enjoy all of the things that our local economy offers by way of tourism and by way of restaurants and theaters and the many arts things that we like to offer others. So this is very clearly an economic issue. That being said, I know that nobody likes the options that are being presented, and I know that those that put them forward aren't happy about having to put them forward, and I am sympathetic to them. But what I would suggest is that there are many, many more options that needs to be on the table, starting first with taking the two proposals and not identifying them merely as two packages which cannot be modified, but creating the opportunity to choose among the best from both of those packages to try to get the best solution if that's what we need to do. But I also think we have a long way to go. We've all heard stories time and time again of the fares not being collected and contributing to the deficit that the T has identified in this report and in the proposals that have come forward. There are a tremendous number, I believe, still of sponsorship opportunities, such as taking those night and weekend services that might otherwise be eliminated and creating an opportunity for private sponsorship to be able to create some revenue in that regard as well. In addition to that, we just passed one of the most significant bills in the last decade in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts that sanctions legalized gaming. And as part of that gaming, there will be a revenue stream, and some of it has already been identified as being appropriate for transportation costs. And before we turn to the citizens of the Commonwealth, either in the form of a gas tax or increased fares, I would hope that we would look at that revenue stream which we've already created to see if it can be applied to the problems of the MBTA so that we might not have to inflict economic harm on the folks that depend every day on riding the T and participating in its programs. Lastly, I seriously believe that when the Transportation Finance Committee completed its work in 2007, it gave us some very good advice in one respect. And that is that if the T is to remain solvent and sustainable, then it needs to first fund the commitments that it's already made before engaging in new commitments. And I believe in the words of the Commission, they indicated that substantially all of the revenue for maintenance and other kinds of costs should be put into existing infrastructure and making it operate sustainably, cost effectively, and reliably before we engage in the conduction or before we engage in the consideration of any new projects. And I think if we put that into the equation, that will make a significant difference. So I hope that we will all find a way to act responsibly, and I would pledge my efforts as a legislator, and I actually would hope that as part of this process, the MBTA board and the general manager and the secretary will call for a summit at the State House so that all the parties can come together so that you don't have to divine these solutions alone, but we can talk about some of the things that I've described and we can do it in a comprehensive way. Because if we don't, my fear is that we're going to face a declining revenue base because service will be less available and more expensive. We'll have fewer riders and we'll be in a downward spiral that will lead to the decimation of public transportation in the Commonwealth. I think we can do better than that. I hope we'll do better than that, and I look forward to working with you on that project.
Thank you.
I'm Jay Kelly from Occupy Boston and Occupy the T. I want to just address everybody here, but I'm going to direct myself to these gentlemen here. These proposals are disgusting to me. I'm a disabled American. It's a 100% increase in my fares. I'm going to have to choose between riding the T and eating. It's also class warfare. The hundreds of millions of dollars that go to these banks in interest is being put on the riders, the workers, the poor, the people who depend on the T that can't get anywhere else because that's the way they need to get there. All this money that's going to these banks is being deferred to the poor and the workers. All these cuts, they're going to hurt small businesses. They're not going to hurt big businesses. They're going to hurt small businesses, the ones that depend on workers because they can afford to pay a lower wage. The big businesses are going to pay a nickel more an hour, and they're going to get these workers that can't get to these small businesses. The workers that work on the weekends because they have 2 and 3 jobs for these commuter rails, to be cut on the weekends, it's disgusting. After 10 o'clock, the majority of people who ride these commuter rails after 10 o'clock, it's not for convenience, it's because they have to. Because they have to work a 2nd or 3rd job to be able to feed their family, pay their medical bills. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. We'll have numbers 91 through 95. Take the wheel, please. 91 through 95.
Good evening. Charlie Gallo from Lynn, Massachusetts. I'm a member of the Lynn School Committee. I work at offices both in Boston and Lynn, and so I rely on the T as a commuter back and forth from Lynn to Boston. I also relied on the T for 8 years as a commuter student, first in college, then in law school, working in Lynn and getting an education in Boston. I'm here to speak against cutting service. I'm also here to speak against raising fares as the only source of revenue. We have seniors and disabled persons who need the T, who rely on the T, and who deserve that service. We have a growing downtown Lynn art scene that relies especially on weekend and evening commuter rail service. We have commuters going to work, thereby generating tax revenue for all of our benefit. And we have commuter students going to college, again, not only for their benefit, but for all of our benefit. So the solution, and it probably has to be a legislative one, should be fair and should be equitable, should not be a burden placed on these commuting students or on the backs of our seniors, disabled persons, or the other commuters that I mentioned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, my name is Steven. I take the train from Lynn to Beverly once a week for $3, and I really can't afford more than that. But I do live in a group home, and they support, like another workshop, support me from my house to my work. Then my friend will say at work, take me home, and I pay them $3 a day. And so, and the price of gas is $4. I heard this, and you should let the people keep the $4 in their pockets, except like decrease on the ride or whatever for everybody. Because the important thing is that people that work at the gas station, they want their money. I guess that's all. Bye.
Thank you, sir.
Hi there. I'd like to welcome you all to the North Shore and thank in particular Secretary Davey and General Manager Davis for being here tonight with us. My name is Andrea Leary and I'm the Executive Director of the North Shore Transportation Management Association and former Managing Director for Mass Commute, the TMA Council. Access to employment, educational and healthcare institutions and tourism venues for residents and visitors is critical to continuing the growing economic development that fuels our diverse, vibrant, and dynamic North Shore region. The proposed reductions in public transit services will have a particularly profound and negative impact on the economic competitiveness of our region, affecting major businesses and institutions including Beverly Hospital, Leahy Clinic, Salem State University, Shetland Park, Montserrat College of Art, Peabody Essex Museum, and the North Shore Medical Center, to name a few. In both scenarios put forth by the T, major employment centers, Cummings Center in Beverly and Centennial Drive in Peabody, will be left with no access to MBTA public transportation for their employees, customers, patients, and students who work, receive health care services, and attend classes at these locations. Although I understand the MBTA's current financial situation, I believe that either of the two scenarios under consideration will adversely impact our members and their and their employees, as well as all businesses, organizations, and residents of the North Shore. As acknowledged in the CTPS analysis impact, air quality worsens under both scenarios and increases congestion on our roadways. I'll submit the rest of my comments in person.
Thank you very much. Could I have number 96 through 100 be with me now, please? Number 96 through 100.
My name is Kevin Wynot. I'm born and raised in Lynn, currently live in Peabody. I am a lifelong T rider. In fact, I've been riding since before it was the T, believe it or not. I think this is just the cuts themselves are an incredibly bad idea. I basically do not have a car. I cannot afford a car. I live by my jobs on the MBTA, whether it be commuting from Peabody to Boston and Peabody to Salem. And this would affect my ability to make a living immensely. Also, I work with tourism in Salem. I see a lot of tourists, and I see a great number of people who come here from Boston, who come here from up on the North Shore, Gloucester, Newburyport, Essex, people who are staying here visiting, vacationing, who utilize the T and who would not be able to attend the events that they do without this MBTA service. I think what the MBTA really needs to do most of all, first and foremost, is establish a standalone form of funding. It cannot be tied to the mass highways. It cannot be tied to the rest of the Mass Department of Transportation. It needs to be standalone, it needs to be reliable, and it needs to be accountable. No more subway cars that fall off the tracks. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Charlene Morin. I'm a resident of Nahant, and I rely exclusively on the Nahant MBTA bus service, the number 439. I'm on the first bus out of Nahant to the Lynn commuter station, and I take it home in the evening from the Lynn commuter rail to Nahant. It's crucial to my livelihood that this bus be continued and not stopped. There's a very small group of ridership, but it's very important to us. And I know that there have been some suggestions in terms of possibly running a small shuttle, or and also coordinating with the commuter rail schedule. And I think that's very important, to coordinate it with the commuter rail schedule. I think you would see an increase in ridership from Nahant. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. If 101 through 110 can make their way down now, 101 through 110, please.
Good evening. My name is Leonardo Leroy Clement. I'm a resident of Lynn, and I'm here because I'm absolutely frustrated with the way business seems to be handled. You're telling me now that I will be forced to possibly give up a job that I worked to get 2 years for in Salem, because you're raising the fares on the ride. Also, you're talking about eliminating the bus that goes through Salem. So for some reason, I cannot get the ride. I also cannot use the bus system. So I will most likely have to walk, in which case I would be late, which, you know, doesn't go well for companies. They generally like their employees to be on time. I would ask you to think seriously about what you are proposing to do. I am one of many individuals that are visually impaired within this city and in other communities throughout the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. You cannot unfairly eliminate services to these people. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
My name is Darrell Flynn. I live in the city of Lynn. I'm mentally challenged, and I also am a client of the Department of Developmental Services. I take the 450, 456, 435 to go see a friend of mine in Danvers, and I usually take that bus from Danvers Square at late at night home, and I'd be stranded. I had a bus driver that was really rude to me, wouldn't let me, said he had an attitude and he was going to kick me off the bus, if I didn't shut up, and he had an attitude. Also, I see bus drivers that let people on because those boxes don't work. Fix them. That's how come you're losing money. Don't cut the buses. I'm also going to be starting a job fair soon in Marblehead, on the Marblehead Swampscott line, at the Lynn, the Marblehead YMCA. If I can't get home, then I'm going to be stuck. Don't stop the buses. Okay, I agree with the people that from Bridgewell said, and another person that was special needs from a group home. There are people that cannot drive because they have some kind of handicap. Please, I urge you and you to find other ways to find money, like I wish I could think of the word, but I can't, okay? But I wish you could come up with another way of doing this. Don't cut anything, because there's no way. Don't stop these buses, because the people can't go where they gotta go. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
My name's Warren, and I live in the Northgate neighborhood of Revere. I think that these proposed cuts and fare increases are morally reprehensible. Scenario 2 proposes to abolish the 119 between Northgate and Beachmont, 429 between Northgate and Central Square, the 411 for Revere and Malden, the 108 from Linden Square. I'll have to walk 45 minutes to go to Wonderland to get on any kind of transportation other than sporadic buses that come on the Linway. Not very good service. That's just my situation. And I think that, whoever came up with this concept was using botched logic. Scenario 2 cuts constitute an attack on the economically disadvantaged workers and students and elderly, whether that's the intent or not, and it will devastate business at Northgate Plaza, which will be catastrophic for the neighborhood. The two scenarios are like a good cop, bad cop situation. One last quick thing. You should extend the blue line to Lynn, because it would create jobs, raise revenues proportionally, tax gas and luxury goods. The MBTA is dying for an overhaul, not a dismantling. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
These comments are for everyone, but excuse my back. I'd just like to point out to everyone that this isn't necessarily a problem that can or should be solved by the MBTA or by MassDOT alone. It's a problem that will have devastating effects on the entire Commonwealth. I echo the sentiments of everyone here regarding the cuts, not only because they'll affect commuters and students like me, but because it will threaten the revenue of communities like Salem that rely on tourism on weekends, or Boston in the evenings, and areas like Peabody, where I'm from, that rely on revenue from the North Shore Mall and the people who work there. It will affect not only the medical facilities and the people who utilize them, but the affordable housing that has been set up along commuter rail routes. And this is an infrastructure issue as well, because the increased number of cars, that will be forced onto the road when these cuts are enacted, and the air quality problems that will arise from them. Not to mention the effects on gas and oil supply, and the number of drunk drivers that will be out on the roads when trains are cut in the evenings. Public transportation should not be a business, and it should not be, in this economy, a gift to the people. It should be treated as a public works, as vital as sewer maintenance or garbage collection, and it should be treated that way. And it will require the work of the entire community to do it. So I urge anyone who's still here, and I'd like to read into the record, that contacting your legislature is going to be the only way to get this solved. I've been in touch with 12,000 signatories on various petitions and legislature officials who are all very eager to help, but to have your voice as a part of it is what's going to make this change, so I urge you all to get involved. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Can I get 111 through 120, please? 111 through 120.
Okay, we'll get.
Just come on down. If we missed you, just come on down.
That's fine. We'll get to you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. Well, I'll get to you next after this gentleman here.
Ma'am, do you need us to come to you? Okay, let this lady go, and then we'll go next.
Okay, hello. I'm Alyssa Osma, and I'd like to speak for around 2 minutes. I've retimed this. I'll include a few seconds of personal information so you know where I'm coming from. My core message: I know the MBTA has cash issues. Fix these so it doesn't harm ordinary folks, then rise above this and expand your services. I have a wish list. About me, first, by the way, I'm a transgender female. I know my voice needs work, but you should definitely refer to me as female. More to the point, things are slowly improving for me, but I still consider myself working poor. I was homeless a few years ago, during which time I obtained a transportation access pass, a real godsend. Now I live in Lynn and work in Cambridge. Lots of evening and weekend work. A lifeline, as is the mix and match collection of trains and buses, including the 450, 455, and 426 I rely on to get around. I have a driver's license but no car. I worry the proposed fare increases and service cuts will hurt me. Please, MBTA, find a way to fix your revenue problems so it doesn't harm working folks like me. I'd actually like the MBTA to be in good enough shape to expand rather than hike fares and cut back. The Blue Line should eventually go all the way to Salem. Speaking of which, last bus to Salem should leave later than midnight, like it does now. In fact, I'd like to see the entire MBTA run until 2 a.m. weeknights, 3 a.m. weekends. In my commutes, I found half the northbound Green Line train stopping and turning around at Government Center, a two-edged sword, helping me get to work, and on weeknights, hindering me catching a bus home. Commuter rail expansion should be on the table. I used to live in Worcester, half a dozen times missed the last train out. You need a later train. I'm almost done. I'd like to see train service to New Hampshire, as well as Green Line type train service to Waltham and Watertown. And by the way, another speaker reminded me, you need a Java-based app for cell phones. In sum, please fix your problems without rate increases, cutbacks, without harming ordinary folks like me, then expand and don't be afraid to think big. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. We're now going to the lady I accidentally skipped, and I do apologize.
Hi, I'm Lynn Miranda, and I've lived Lynn all my life, and I've ridden the ride when I was young. I mean, now, I've been disabled and I'm legally blind, and how dare they say that we have not accepted doctor's letters stating that we have a problem, that we gotta come down to you and describe our disability? I think that's uncalled for. I mean, furthermore, today, I've taken the ride 5 times today. And if you raise the price, I mean, I don't have any more money left. I mean, and that's all I have to say.
Thank you, ma'am, and I am sorry I missed you earlier.
Thank you. My name is Ari Herzog. I'm a member of the Newburyport City Council. I will elaborate these comments in written testimony, but for now I'd like to share 3 brief comments, or 3 brief questions, if you will. First, I echo the words and sentiments and emotions of many people who've stood before me tonight that reducing the ride, increasing the fares of seniors as disabled and others on fixed incomes is unacceptable. Do you want your passengers to go broke? Simple question. Sounds like the answer is yes. Second, it's also unacceptable that T wants residents with cars, or those without cars, to drive. Isn't this contrary to the Governor's Green Communities Act? Isn't this contrary to reducing energy emissions into the air? And third, up in Newburyport, the Department of Transportation also owns a park and ride lot adjacent to I-95. There are 2 bus companies currently which pick up people and drop off people every day. One during the rush hour times, and another during every hour. I've taken the bus. I've also taken the train. But my question to you, if either of these proposals goes forward, do you want your passengers to rely on private transportation? I suggest you change. We can do it. We can all work together. And let's protect everyone. Let's do something. But don't decrease it. Increase it. Thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Lisa Bowen. I've lived in Boston and I'm a resident right now of Lynn. And I'm 35 years old and I've ridden to T all my life, even when I couldn't walk with my mom. And you know what? This is a double dipping situation. You guys always say, oh, we want to do this, we want to do that, or we're increasing this, increasing that. And the only thing that gets done is some of the stations get a little bit better, the buses get a little bit cleaner and more modern, but services have been the same after year after year after year. Some stops get taken away and they get put back. You're not looking at the factor about to affect educational people, disabled people, people that live in housing developments like the 429. That's the only bus that goes out there. How are people going to get anywhere? And that's a housing development, which means there's people that pay rent, people that work, people that are disabled, people that can't see, people that can't hear, nothing. You guys are not looking at the bigger picture. You're looking at the fact that, okay, there's no services at this time. This is the longest distance ride, so we can cut that to make hours shorter for the ride or whatever, or for the worker and everything else. That's not right. You need to look at the bigger situation and take inventory on the fact of who are really riding it. And also, when it's downtime, when there is no business, have an express bus go to certain stops and you'll get more business. Because, like, for example, the 429, I used to work, and I'd have to go an hour before work just to get to work. I'm sitting at work doing nothing. I can't get paid. You cost me money, but I still paid because I had to go. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Numbers 121 through 130, can make their way down, please. 121 through 130.
Hello, I'm Jean Marie Cabe. I live in Lynn. I feel like your proposal asks the question, how do you want things to be worse, not how can we make things better? I think this says a lot about the T as an organization, about our legislature, and us as people. I think we can and we really should be doing better, and we should be asking more of ourselves. I agree with a lot of people who think that the T has been unfairly saddled with debt that probably belongs to the Commonwealth as a whole, and that needs to be addressed. Also, when people take the T, they reduce pollution and greenhouse gases and remove cars from the road. I think it's fair to use an increase in the tax to help fund the T, since drivers benefit when fewer cars are on the road. Oil companies raise gas prices all the time to benefit themselves. Why shouldn't a few cents be used to benefit all of us? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Now we've exhausted all our numbers. Is there anyone who can take a number who would like to comment? Seeing none, on behalf of the Secretary, the Board of Directors, and the Acting General Manager, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. It was very well presented and well said. Thank you very much.